Hello, welcome to Higgins Sandy Entertainment. I'm your host, Jason Higgins, and today we're going to be talking about my amazing wife, Amber. Now, I have a gargantuan list of all the amazing things I can say about my wife, but if I did that, this podcast would go on for days. So, we're going to sum it up some. My beautiful wife, Amber. Not only is she beautiful, she's intelligent, she's sweet, kind-hearted, brilliant mindset, very positive, very helpful. She's amazing. And one of the things that stands out is her her want, in a way. I would say her want. Yeah, I would say her ability to want to help others. She is an introvert at heart, and once she knows you, she won't stop talking. Once she knows you, she'll ask you a million questions, and she is so funny, and I can talk to her all day, every day. But if you don't know her, and she doesn't know you, she's really shy. Really shy. She's not one of those people that are going to come up and say, hi, how are you doing, start up a conversation. That's just not her. So with her, she loves to help out others, especially her friends. She'll spend hours and days giving up things that she needs to do or she wants to do to help everybody else. She puts everybody else before herself. And one of those reasons I say that is she does that for me. I don't ask her to do that. I don't. She does it herself. And because of her, it's crazy when you know when you know you have the one, you just know, you do. And, I've dated my fair share of girls in the past, and I've had some really rocky relationships, really bad relationships, to where I really wanted to kind of give up in a sense. Like I wasn't going to date again. I wasn't going to get married. I was engaged once, and, I was devastated. And so she came in at the perfect time, really. And basically, when I say, like, she saved me in a sense, in reality, she really did. Because I was going through a really rough time. I wasn't in the job that I wanted to be in. I wasn't in the right mindset, in the right place. I felt like I had failed at so many things, and I felt like I was in a low point in my life. And lo and behold, she walks into my life, and instantly my mindset was back to where it should be. Back to where it should be. And she strengthens all my weaknesses. She makes me into a better person. And not once has she ever asked me to change who I am, change who I believe in, change what I do, change how I feel, anything like that. She's never asked me to do that. But I have made changes myself to better reflect her. I've made changes myself knowing I needed to make changes for a long time, but I didn't have like the motivation, the discipline, or just, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I just didn't have it. And when she came in, instantly that all changed. My I had goals again. Things became reality to where, I seen opportunity, and I just felt like I could achieve anything at that point. Like I got back to the mindset that I used to have, to where once I set my mind on something, I achieved it. I went after it. I didn't fear those things. And with her, she's kind of came into my life and reestablished who I needed to be, who I wanted to be, and who I was. And, of course, she's drop dead gorgeous. I mean, of course. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, she's beautiful. I mean, her eyes, her smile, her hair, just the way she carries herself. And when I say she's beautiful, it's not just because of her looks. Yes, she's a model. In my eyes, in a lot of people's eyes, I guarantee probably everyone's eyes, she's a model. But her personality is what's beautiful. She is just, she's amazing to be around. And, our first date, we were in that restaurant for about 3 hours. I was nervous as can be. I was nervous, and, we didn't kiss on the first date, which is a good sign, Um, and, I was a little, I wouldn't say hesitant. I was a little scared, when we first started talking. I didn't want to get my heart broke again. And, I had went out to lunch one day with one of my best friends. His name's Andrew Toko. And he's he's an amazing guy. He's a great guy. And I've known him for a long time. We've been friends forever. One of my favorite concert buddies, went to tons and tons of concerts with this guy. And, he's helped me out through a lot of stuff, and he's seen me go through a lot of things, and he's always been there for me. And so one day we had went out to lunch, and we were just talking, and he was asking me about Amber and things like that. And he was like, you need to allow yourself to be happy again. You need to allow yourself to put yourself back out there. And he had asked me, do I really like this girl? And I'm like, oh, she's awesome. She's amazing. She's more than I could ever even want in a girl. But at the same time, I was scared because, I didn't want to get hurt again, and I didn't want to hurt her. I didn't want to sabotage it. I didn't want to, hurt her in a sense. And he told me, he's like, if this girl truly makes you feel the way you do, and, you think she's the one, not making it official or dragging my feet, things like that, I'm going to lose that opportunity. I'm going to lose the chance of a really great girl, and somebody else is going to swoop in and take her up. And I'd sat there and I talked about it, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I got to change this mindset of fearing what could happen, the what if, and put myself back out there. And I'm so glad I did, because later that night, we made it official. And since then, I've not regretted 1 second of it. She, when I'm sick, she takes care of me. She asks me how I'm doing. She's, have you taken your Tylenol? You got a headache? Things like that. She's always checking up on me. She's an amazing cook. She's helped me, when I was looking for a different job at the time, kind of going through some things, and getting back to who I was. Like, she motivated me, she pushed me, and she watches the WWE with me, which, come on now, you got a girl that watches the WWE with you, keep them. She watches the Cincinnati Bengals games with me, so definitely got to keep her, because if you're watching the Bengals games, which she told me when we first started dating, we were watching the Bengals game together, and she told me, she goes, you stress me out. I said, I stress you out? What do you mean? She's like, watching you watch the Cincinnati Bengals is so stressful. And I'm like, babe, I've been a fan for 31 years. I'm surprised I don't got gray hair. It is very stressful watching the Bengals. Very stressful. And they can never just win out the game, or just blow a team out. It's got to be back and forth, the defense, the offense, that's a whole other podcast. I'll get right into it. Anyways, she goes for walks with me. She works out with me, watches movies, TV, shoots baskets, works out with me. This goes on. But one of the things I knew she was definitely the one is how she treats my dog, my baby Zoe. That's huge for me. I didn't date girls in the past when I brought them over. Like, we were in that talking stage, or like in a potential girlfriend. I'd bring them over, and they didn't give my dog the attention or treat her right or kind of brush her off and things like that. No go. Get out. You're out. Don't have time for that. But Amber, first time she came into my house, walked in this door, had a bag of toys. Bag of dog toys. Bag of dog toys. She won my dog over within 10 seconds. My dog was super happy. She was sniffing her, jumping on, licking her, and she's giving her these toys. She got these treats for her. Heck, the first 10, 15 minutes, you wouldn't even know I was here. She paid attention to my dog. And I sat there and smiled the whole time. Didn't bother me 1 second. Because that right there showed me, wow, dang. She truly is the one. This is who I get to spend the rest of my life with. And, we've gone through a lot here in the last year, For those of you who don't know, she is from Taiwan. She's from Taiwan. She's been in the States for years now. For years. Put that in expression, years. She's working on her second master's degree. She got her master's from Purdue University. And unfortunately, some things had happened with jobs and livelihood and things like that to where she had to take another job position in Florida last August. And so since last August, I've flown down to Florida a few times. She's flown up to Indiana a few times. We've shared shared holidays together, things like that. We FaceTime every single day, a few times a night. We watch One Tree Hill together on, FaceTime. Haven't done it in a while, which we need to get back to that. But we're making the best of it and the most of it. And for those of you that don't know, reason I didn't go down with her to Florida is because of the job that I'm at right now. I got accepted into Leadership Academy, and because I was accepted in the academy and the contract and things like that, that I did have to stay here. And so, and it's unfortunate. It is what it is. But we've made the most of it and things like that, and I'm excited for the things down the road, and we got some exciting stuff coming up, and I'm excited to share that. But what's crazy is this: I feel like this has made our relationship even stronger, and when we do see each other, it's just that much more when you see each other, I hug her, and it's like my heart just beating out my chest. And the minute I see her and her eyes and just everything just sparkle, and it's amazing. And I love her to death, but I'm telling you, every time it's time to go, get back on that plane, it gets harder and harder, to leave, because it stinks. It really does. But she makes some buku money. She's got a great job, great company, great friends, great culture, and so I support her 150%. And so we're pushing through it, and we got married back in February at the house, and had just close family and everything, and it was super awesome, super blessed. Amazing. Made her tear up, which I wanted to because I already was. I knew I was. So I wasn't going to be the only one at the wedding crying. That got to happen. But she wants to have the traditional American wedding. Celebrate everyone. Celebrate our friends. Celebrate our family. Celebrate everything. And so we're going to be having our big wedding in Indiana here this coming it would be this coming June, but next June, June 11th, we're going to be having our big wedding here in Indiana, which we're super excited for. Great venue, and we're excited to share more of our story with each other. So, yes, we're already married, but we want to have the big wedding, share it with our friends, families, colleagues, things like that. Her family coming from Taiwan, grandparents, parents, sisters, brother, all that kind of stuff. we want to make sure everyone gets to attend because I want to celebrate her. You know, she's sacrificed a lot. And I don't know how she does it. I know for a fact that I would have never been able to go to another country by myself and start basically brand new and learn from scratch this and that. She is so independent. It is unreal. So independent. And she's helped me grow in that independency. And it's just amazing just hearing the things she says, does, watch. And she's got me learning Chinese. Got the Duolingo app. And so I'm learning Chinese. And I got a lot of the basics down. Mi fan, hu shui, cha. Those are some Chinese words. Look it up. But yeah, anyways. So I'm super excited. But my wife. It's just so great saying my wife. My wife. My wife. I love saying that. I love saying it. And I love the fact, and when we were living with each other, in our small house here in Indiana, it was funny, it's cute because, I have my, own things, she got her things, and the one thing I still give her some crap on is laundry, is I have a certain way how I fold clothes and how I do my laundry. Laundry's done, immediately goes to the bed, couch, whatever, gets folded, gets put away. With her, she doesn't really fold, or when she does fold, it's But I always joke around with her because she'll put a shirt on, and I'll say, "Baby, you look like you got aluminum foil on." And she's like, "My body heat will, blah, blah, blah." That's her. So we've already got it down, and, a couple months into living with each other, guess who was doing the laundry and guess who was folding the clothes and things like that? Me. Because I like to do it. Because I like them a certain way, and that's probably just a little bit of my OCD talking. But I like them folded a certain way. I don't like them wrinkled. I like it to look nice. That's just me. And, one thing she had me work on is I'm one that if I'm eating, on dinner or whatever, and go to get a snack, whatever, I'll set the plate on the end table, go to get a snack, get the wrapper, set it on the end table, and, 30 minutes to an hour later, I got my plate and a couple snack wrappers and a cup all sitting right there. And I'm kind of a germaphobe, so I don't want to touch the trash can until I have to. And so I'll leave it there until the end where I should be, not letting stuff pile up and things like that. So I had to get a lot better at that, which I did. And, but yeah, those are just a couple things, just, when we were living with each other, that was one thing that I had to improve on. And, the thing is with her is, a lot of times with people, they get defensive when they get critiqued. It's like human nature in a sense. But with her, she says something that I need to get better on. Has there been a couple times I was just like, come on, really? Is that? But then as I understood it and as she explained it and as, she gave me her perception of it, I was like, wow. I didn't really even think of it that way, or didn't even cross my mind. So, but yeah, that's what's crazy. So, but she is so intelligent, such a brilliant mind. My family loves her to death. It's so cute when I'm on FaceTime with her and I go over to visit the parents and she's like, "Hi Deb, hi Jeff." She gets on FaceTime, and there's been times where I'm over there, helping my dad out with whatever he needs help on, or I'm, playing with the dogs, or, cooking dinner, because I'll just be honest, they got a much nicer grill than I do. So maybe a couple times a week I go over there and use the grill. But I bring enough food for all three, I'll bring 3 steaks. I'll bring corn on the cob, chicken, salmon, asparagus, all that. And I share. So yeah, I'm using the grill, but they get a free dinner out of it. So come on now. No one's complaining. But I have her on FaceTime there the whole time, a lot of times. And so when I'm out doing that kind of stuff, she'll be on FaceTime with my mom talking about the latest gossip, what's going on in Florida, what's going on in Indiana, how things are going. And even earlier this year, my mom and her best friend had flew down to Florida and visited for a few days, and which was really good for my mom because she does have a lot of health issues, and especially during the time frame from October to early March, she can't get out much. Especially here in Indiana with the weather and people being sick, and she's worked in the medical field for a long time, so unfortunately she had to retire this last year. But with that being said, she was able to fly down to Florida, and she was healthy and she felt so much better. And the fact that my mom and her best friend were comfortable enough to go visit my wife, at the time it would have been my girlfriend at the time, or fiance, fiance at the time. But to be that comfortable to go visit her, and for my wife to be that comfortable letting my mom visit her and her best friend without me being present, and she's just, I could go on for days. She's such a great person, and like I said, she's strengthened my weaknesses. She's made me into a better person, and it's not because she forced me to or asked me to. It's because I decided to, and number two, it just kind of manifested itself from being with her, just sponging off her brilliance, and just listening to her talk every day, and just being around her and being in the same vicinity as her, and I'm telling you, the days that I would have rough days at work, and I'd come home and my dog and her are the first two people to greet me. It's amazing. And she's hugging me and kissing me, and Zoe's barking because Amber's kissing me, and so then she's trying to get right in the middle, and yeah, it's adorable. It's awesome. So, I can't wait to continuously move forward. I can't wait to be living with her again. I can't wait for that day, and I'm excited for it. And I know my wife is, and our families are, and my family loves her to death. Trust me, my family, they'll tell you for a fact some of my last ones. And I'd bring some ones over, and they're just like, nah, not a good one, don't do it. And of course, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old Jason, no listen. Dad doesn't know what he's talking about. Mom don't know what he's talking about. Then I get my heart broke. Something stupid happens, whatever the case may be. And then I'm like, you were right. I've said that a lot to my dad. I have quite a bit as I've gotten older. Younger Jason never did. Older Jason seems to be almost like an every other week thing. So, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is just a podcast over my wife. And I know once she sees this podcast, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, because she gets so shy, especially when I brag and talk about her. But what are you going to do? It's a podcast and I like to talk. So she's my wife. You're kind of going to be a topic sometimes in these podcasts. So she understands it. She knew what she was getting into when she married me. I'm a Bengals fan. Come on now. Who dey? That should say a lot more than you even know. Because I'm a Bengals fan. Come on. But I hope you all have a great week. It's a great Monday. Start off the week with a positive mindset, positive attitude. Take this week and try to improve. Try to, be the difference in somebody's life. So thank you for listening. Continue to follow, continue to subscribe, continue to support me across all my media platforms. Like I said before, you can catch me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So y'all have a great day. This is Higgins Sandy Entertainment. We're entertaining lives and we're inspiring minds. Y'all have a good one.